Imagine being in a place where everything seems to go wrong. Your own brothers betray you. You are sold into slavery, taken to a foreign land with no one to help you. You try to do everything right, but even then, you are falsely accused and thrown into prison. It seems like the end, doesn't it? But what if I told you that this very man, who went through some of the worst moments imaginable, became the most powerful person in one of the greatest civilizations in history, second only to Pharaoh himself? Now, think about your own life. Have you ever felt like everything was against you? Like every step you took only pushed you further away from your dreams? Like God had forgotten the promises he made to you? If you've ever been through moments like these, then Joseph's story has something to teach you, something that could completely transform your journey. But here's the big question. What did Joseph do differently? How did he go from the depths of despair to a position of power and influence? Could there be a hidden secret in his story that can help us overcome any adversity and attract a prosperous future? The answer lies in 4 powerful lessons that many people overlook. And by the end of this video, you will discover how to apply them to your own life to change your reality once and for all. So, stay with me until the end, because what you're about to learn could be the key to unlocking your purpose and transforming your life. And of course, leave a like so that this message can reach even more people. What you're about to learn today could be the key to completely transforming your life. Not just your financial life, but also your emotional and spiritual growth. Because Joseph's story is not just about a young man who suffered and later triumphed. No, it's a true roadmap for anyone who wants to overcome challenges and attract a prosperous future. Now, here's something most people don't realize. What did Joseph actually do to escape slavery and become the governor of Egypt? Many assume it was just luck or destiny. But was it really just that? What if I told you that Joseph applied principles that are now studied in personal development? Principles that many today call the law of attraction, but that were already in the Bible long before they became popular. Joseph didn't just believe in his dreams. He visualized his future, maintained an unshakable mindset, and trusted that God was in control, even when everything seemed lost. But there is something even deeper in this story. A secret that most people never notice. And once you understand this secret, you'll see your own life in a completely different way. You'll realize that even in the most difficult moments, there is a hidden path leading to your purpose. So stay with me, because in the next few minutes, you're going to discover 4 powerful lessons that can completely change your destiny. Joseph was just a boy when it all began, the favorite son of Jacob, a young dreamer who believed he was destined for something great. And he was. But the road to that destiny would not be easy. His brothers, consumed by jealousy, couldn't stand seeing Joseph treated as special. Every time he shared his dreams that suggested he would one day rule over them, their hatred only grew. Until one day, envy turned into action. Joseph was ripped from his home, betrayed by those who should have loved him, thrown into a pit, and sold as a slave to Ishmaelite merchants. In an instant, everything he knew was gone. The young man who once dreamed of kingdoms now found himself chained, walking toward the unknown, far from his family, far from his safety. It seemed like the end, but Joseph did something that few would have done in his place. Even as a slave, he kept his faith and his strong mindset. He did not rebel. He did not sink into despair. On the contrary, he believed that his life was still in God's hands. And here's something powerful. Joseph didn't focus on what he had lost. He focused on what he could build, even in the worst situation. He worked with excellence, did his best, and quickly caught the attention of Potiphar, an Egyptian officer who bought him as a servant. And just like a magnet, God's favor began to manifest. Everything Joseph touched prospered. Now stop and think. How could a slave prosper? It defies all logic. But here's the truth. The world responds to your mindset, not your circumstances. Even in slavery, Joseph carried himself like someone destined for greatness. He worked as if he were already a leader. He was faithful in the little, and that led him to much. But Joseph's journey was far from over. Just when things seemed to be improving, another brutal twist came. He was falsely accused by Potiphar's wife, and without even having the chance to defend himself, he was thrown into prison. Now, he was not just a slave, he was a slave and a prisoner. Rock bottom. And this is where many give up. Many would have lost faith, but Joseph didn't. He refused to believe that his story would end there. He chose to keep believing in his dreams. Even in prison, he served, he helped others, he maintained the posture of a leader. He couldn't see the way forward, but he trusted that God was working behind the scenes. And little did Joseph know, his life was about to change in the most unbelievable way. Now, take a moment and put yourself in Joseph's place. What would you do if you were betrayed by your own family, and even after doing everything right, you were still punished for something you didn't do? Imagine the pain of being sold like an object, ripped away from your home without warning, with no one to defend you. Imagine giving your best, even in the worst conditions, and just when things seem to be improving, everything falls apart again. What would you do? Would you give up on your dreams? Would you fall into despair? Or would you keep believing that, somehow, God is still in control? Now, think about your own life. How many times have you felt trapped in an unfair situation? How many times did it seem like everything was against you? Maybe you lost an opportunity. Maybe you were betrayed by someone you trusted. Or maybe your life took a turn you never expected. But what if, just like Joseph's story, this difficult season isn't the end of your journey? What if this is just part of the process leading you to something greater? Now, I want to hear from you. Comment below. Have you ever been in a moment where everything seemed lost, but in the end, God opened an unexpected door? Share your story, because your experience can inspire and strengthen others who are going through challenges right now. Let's create a chain of faith in the comments. Joseph's story is not just about overcoming obstacles. It is a true blueprint for attracting success, even in adversity. And within this journey, there are 4 fundamental lessons that can completely transform your life, if you apply them. The first lesson is crystal clear. Your mindset determines your future. Joseph never saw himself as a victim. He could have spent his life complaining about his misfortune, stuck in the past, consumed by the pain of betrayal. But he chose a different path. Even as a slave, he carried himself like a leader. Even in prison, he behaved like a man of influence. He never let his circumstances define who he was. And the Bible confirms this in Proverbs 23 verse 7. For as he thinks in his heart, so is he. Joseph didn't just dream of a better future. He lived as if that future was already real. This is a powerful principle that is also taught in the law of attraction. The way you see yourself today determines what you will attract tomorrow. Now, the second lesson, faithfulness in small things leads to great rewards. Joseph didn't wait to be in a position of power to act like a trustworthy and responsible man. He prospered as a slave, as a prisoner, and eventually as a governor. He understood that each stage of his life was a test. And Jesus confirmed this principle in Luke 16 verse 10. Whoever is faithful in little will also be faithful in much. God doesn't place anyone in a high position without first testing how they handle small responsibilities. If you're waiting for a big opportunity, ask yourself, are you being faithful with what's already in your hands? The third lesson goes even deeper. Gratitude and patience accelerate the manifestation of dreams. Joseph could have spent his days complaining, asking why God allowed him to be sold, imprisoned, and forgotten. But instead, he continued helping others and maintained a posture of gratitude. And once again, the Bible teaches us this principle in Philippians 4 verses 6 to 7. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, present your requests to God with thanksgiving. The law of attraction teaches that gratitude opens doors, while complaining closes them. Joseph never let pain paralyze his faith. He trusted that at the right time, God would open the doors. And that's exactly what happened. Now, here is the most powerful lesson of all. God uses the wilderness to elevate you to greater heights. If Joseph's brothers had never sold him, he would have never reached Egypt. If he had never been imprisoned, he would have never interpreted the cupbearer's dream. And if he had never been forgotten in prison, he would not have been in the right place at the right time when Pharaoh needed him. And here is the verse that completely changes our perspective on hardships. Romans 8 verse 28. All things work together for the good of those who love God. Have you ever stopped to think that the challenges you're facing today might be exactly what God is using to take you to a higher level? That your difficulties are not obstacles, but tools designed to shape you, prepare you, and position you for something greater? Joseph only reached the palace because he first walked through the desert. And maybe the desert you are facing right now is the direct path to your purpose. Now that you know the 4 lessons that made Joseph prosper, even in the worst circumstances, here's something you may have never realized. Joseph didn't just trust in God. He applied principles that, centuries later, Jesus himself would teach as the key to an abundant life. Think about it. Joseph didn't seek revenge against his brothers. He forgave them. He didn't lose faith in the middle of the storm. He remained faithful even when things seemed impossible. He didn't wait until he was in a position of power to act like a leader. He started living his purpose long before it became visible. And this is just one of the many powerful teachings the Bible reveals to us. If you want to keep discovering inspiring stories that can transform your life, subscribe now and turn on notifications. That way, you won't miss any of our upcoming videos, where we explore other biblical characters who faced impossible challenges and won through faith and divine wisdom. Here on this channel, we connect biblical teachings with personal growth strategies so you can apply these lessons in your own life. So don't miss out. There are already other videos waiting for you. So as soon as this one ends, choose another and continue this journey of learning and transformation. Joseph's story proves one powerful truth. No betrayal, no prison, and no desert can stop God's plan for your life. When God has a purpose for you, it doesn't matter who rises against you. What belongs to you will come at the right time. Joseph was rejected, sold, falsely accused, and forgotten. But none of that could erase what God had already decreed over his life. And if this story teaches us anything, it's that the struggles you face today are not the end of your journey. They are part of the process that is shaping you for something greater. So now, take a moment and ask yourself, what can you start doing today to live out these truths in your own life? Develop a stronger mindset? Be faithful in the little? Practice gratitude instead of complaining? Because real transformation begins with a decision, and that decision is in your hands. If this message touched your heart, don't let it stop here. Like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you can keep receiving content that will strengthen your faith and help you grow in every area of your life. God has something great planned for you, and this journey is just beginning. See you in the next video.